Now, this tragedy that took place at Waffle House in Nashville, this may be just one more in a series of examples just illustrating how much, or rather asking the question, how much trust can we place in our own government that is ultimately comprised of fallible humans with their own agendas, blind spots, and mistakes? Another deadly shooting, another crazed maniac, another series of red flags that were ignored, another grieving citizenry wondering what went wrong. Now, this shooting took place early Sunday morning in Nashville, left 4 people dead. Far more would have died if not for the heroics of one unarmed citizen in that Waffle House, and we're going to talk more about him in a moment. But listen to this press conference today where the FBI speaks to neutralizing the threat at the time. Listen.
Every federal resource was brought to bear, and that we were able to effectively neutralize what we felt was the threat at the time by ensuring that he did not have the ability to purchase or own weapons, and that those weapons were taken.
How was he able to get that gun back?
That I would have to refer you to the Illinois State Police or the Sheriff's Office there in Illinois.
Okay, but it gets better. Listen to when the FBI agent is asked about the laws that the father may have broken and if the murderer should have actually been in possession of firearms. Watch.
Are there any gun laws that the father may have violated by giving his son the weapons?
I would refer that over to ATF.
All right, Mr. ATF? Could his father have violated gun laws by giving his son the weapons?
It is possible if you transfer weapons knowingly to a person that is prohibited, so that could potentially be a violation of federal law.
But Ryan King, was he supposed to have guns here in Tennessee? State law is obviously different, but even though his guns were taken away in Illinois, should he have had weapons in Tennessee?
He should not have had weapons, correct.
In Tennessee.
In Tennessee.
See, I mean, right there. He should not have had. So was he a prohibited possessor? That's the big question. If he had his FOID card, and that's his firearm ownership identification card, that's what the FOID card is for people in Illinois. If he had his FOID card revoked in Illinois, and if he was considered, at least according to ATF and FBI, prohibited possessor in Tennessee, well, then he's a prohibited possessor, right? Because, and we're going to talk to Chuck Michel about this momentarily, but we're talking about a federal measure that must be met. So if he's a prohibited possessor, how is he able to, once again, possess firearms? And furthermore, I understand in some cases after an investigation is completed, law enforcement will return firearms that were involved in said investigation once everything is concluded. They will return those to the particular family member of the suspect involved, whether if they've been convicted or if they've been exonerated. In some instances, they can be returned. Although in many cases that takes a court battle for that to happen, but. It was amazing because FBI was saying, well, possible charges. FBI and ATF were both saying that, well, there's possible charges here if this individual is a prohibited possessor. And I wish that news media just would press a little bit more. There was one female reporter that was on the right track, and she was asking some of the right questions. But it's still, I still wish that they would have turned around and said, wait a minute, so was this individual a prohibited possessor? Were they barred from legally owning or legally purchasing or possessing firearms in any respect? Because they said, well, in Tennessee. I mean, there's so many questions here, because then if that's the case and the father transferred firearms over to this prohibited possessor, that's a violation of 18 U.S.C. 922G, because you're not supposed to be able to transfer firearms to a prohibited person. That's a big time crime. That's a big time crimey crime, according to U.S. code. So what happened there? And I know that the investigation is ongoing, but does it take that long to investigate it? Because you know what was happening, right? You know the individuals involved. Just like in Sutherland Springs, Texas, and so many other deadly shootings. The warning signs were there. This guy had already previously been arrested. This individual had apparently also pulled a rifle on individuals while he was wearing a pink dress. Yeah, for real, go back and I think it was the Tennessean that reported that. This ability to put roadblocks in front of a madman, we're there. Whether it's bad policy or bad judgment or incompetence, or can we also talk about the people around this individual? I mean, clearly the father knew that his son was disturbed. It's irresponsible what the father did. It is absolutely, blatantly irresponsible what this father did. And I would love to know whether or not this individual is considered a prohibited possessor, because if the dad transferred firearms to him and he is a prohibited person, I want the book thrown at the dad. because he knowingly engaged in a criminal act at that point. Of course, I like to play an attorney on NRA TV, but we're going to talk to an actual Second Amendment attorney coming up. But honestly, somebody with a documented past who could have been easily identified as a risk to the public, who could have been deprived of access to weaponry. I mean, all of this is completely within due process. He was able to accomplish the unthinkable.